Welcome to the Inevitable Radio Show with your host, William Sumner. This is a very special night. We're going to be talking about addiction strategies. Our thought patterns keep us reaching for that extra donut, that bottle of beer, or that cigarette. William is here to tell you that you are not broken and you never were. You just have broken strategies. Discover what really breaks the neural programs that are not serving you.
Well, hey, if you're listening to the show tonight, it's a controversial one. So if you are an alcoholic, if you know an alcoholic, if you are an addict, if you know any addicts, if you love someone that has an addiction, tonight we're talking all about the latest and greatest, the developments, the latest in neurosciences on the psychology of addictions. Every listener listening to this show tonight, you're here in part because you're a powerful, amazing human being. And what we hope to do tonight is help awaken some of that greatness in you. If you're already great, outstanding, we'll create some more. If you're above average, great, we're going to help awaken some more. And if you're struggling in life, and particularly, again, tonight's about the psychology of addictions, we want to talk with you as well. First thing I want to talk about, and I had a couple of options as I thought about, when you think about this phrase, I am an alcoholic, and we think about traditional 12-step programs and 12-step processes that we use to help individuals deal with it, there's a number of things that we're going to talk about tonight. I could talk about why saying I'm an alcoholic actually sets you up for a more deeper addiction pattern. I could start with the actual psychology of addictions, but I think what I want to begin with, Whitney, I really want to talk about if you understand what I'm about to share with you tonight, which is you're not broken, you never were. As you have been taught that you are an alcoholic is not true, that is not true. You are not an alcoholic as you have been taught. You are not an addict as you have been taught. We're going to talk about the psychology, the neural patterns of addiction, and what that means. You have alcoholic strategies. The place I want to begin with tonight is, if you get this, then the first immediate thing that's going to happen is you have a very big problem. And it's not been like any problem you've ever had before. So if you think about, if you've heard the business term, a big, hairy, audacious goal, that's out of Jim Collins' book. I actually call this a big, hairy, audacious problem. And here's the problem. If you look at your life, most people who record their addicts or record their alcoholics say, well, the reason why I have the life that I have, I don't have everything that I want, I have challenges, I have problems in my life. The reason is I'm an alcoholic. If you understand after listening to the show tonight that you're not an alcoholic, then here's the big problem. Ooh, I've got another reason for why my life isn't what I want it to be. And it's one of the very common aspects of neural pattern work that when you change or transform a problem, and really why change and transformation in this environment works as deep and magical and as extraordinary as it does, most people are trained to believe that change is this process, it's incremental, you have to work hard to get small incremental processes of change in their life. What neural pattern work teaches us, and it's a great metaphor, if you remember that Fox 31 Secrets of Magic Revealed that was on TV 4 or 5 years ago, and they had the magician, he was hooded, you didn't know his identity. They told you that all the other magicians are mad at him because he's revealing the secret behind some pretty spectacular tricks. If you remember,
ruined everything. Yeah. I was so sad when I saw that. Yeah. I didn't want to watch it, but I had to watch it.
Yeah, and so you'd see the elephant float across the stage, or you see the arrow go in the magician, and he wasn't there, he's back in the audience, and it was just spellbinding. And when you saw the illusion revealed, you could never look at that. You said it ruined it, and it does. You never see the illusion in the same way.
Exactly. I'm never awed anymore anytime I see magic.
Well, if you understand neural pattern work, you will not be awed, or you will not be living an illusion that I am an alcoholic or my life is broken because. And that's why this change and transformation can be as startling and deep and amazing as we talk about it tonight, because we're going to reveal the illusion of what's behind the psychology of addictions. So you have this big problem. Oh, I'm not an alcoholic? Then who am I or what am I? Because I've been telling myself for a long time now. In fact, one of my treasured possessions in my life that I carry to this day is a client I worked with probably 5 years ago who had a 19-year sobriety coin from AA. And he gave that to me at the conclusion of one of my seminars with the freedom and the realization that he wasn't an alcoholic and he wasn't broken. A lot of people will get this, but if you get this, now you have to understand and you have to begin dealing with, okay, why is my life a challenge? Why is my life a problem?
So, Bill, I have this friend, and every time I talk to her, I ask her, how's your day going? And instead of saying, oh, it's good or it's bad, she'll tell me, well, it's good. For breakfast, I had, this, that, and the other, like maybe half a bagel, just a little bit of low-fat cream cheese. Or she'll say, oh, it's great because I worked out really hard this morning. But other times, if she's having a bad day, oh, I pigged out. And, I just feel like I need to help her some way because everything in her life is based on food. So I'm assuming she would have a food addiction. Would that be correct?
She could have a food addiction. I mean, you know her better than I. You have to look at, is it truly her life centered around food, or is just how she relates to people centered around food? I mean, some people come from a family that in their family of origin, all social customs, all social entertainment, all social pleasure begins with food. So she's talking to her friend Whitney. She's going to talk about food. That's the way she's been trained. That may be, in fact, what's going on, and she's not centered on food, but it may, in fact, be the fact that, no, she's absolutely 100% all the time focused on food. So, yeah, that could be a food addiction.
How would you help somebody like that? I just feel like every time I talk to her, no matter how casual the conversation is or how heated it is, it's always around her body.
Well, now you mentioned something different. Because food is different from our body, is it not?
You're right. They're different.
They're different. So is she more food-centered or body image-centered?
Body image.
See, this is how the onion begins to reveal itself.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so that's not an addiction, or not an addiction in the sense of what we're talking about tonight. It is an addiction in the sense that if my focus is on my body image and my focus is my body image is not good enough, a couple of things are going to take place and are going to happen. First of all, you can choose to just love her and let her have her karma and her destiny and not worry about it. If you want to help her, one of the things that we talk about and teach a lot on this show, the Inevitable radio show, because we are inevitable, is that friends speak the truth to friends. So it doesn't mean that you browbeat her or you criticize her, but you very tenderly and softly, you create a moment with her and say, you focus a lot on your body image with me, and I'm not so focused on that. I'm focused on your soul or who you are or what our friendship means to me. And you don't have to be that person with me. That's not as important to me. And that's not a threatening message. That's not a critical message. That's not a you should do something different message. And then she can choose to say, well, bite me, or she could say thank you, or she could keep on talking about her body image. But you begin to open little doors with people sometimes to say, this is what I can do for you now, or this is what you mean to me now, kind of moments, as opposed to most critical messages are, you should do this and you should stop doing that and you should get rid of that guy and you should go on a diet and you should stop talking about that boyfriend. You drive me crazy about you always talking about the bagels and cream cheese.
That doesn't feel very good.
No, it doesn't. But at the same time, not talking about the elephant in the room doesn't serve her or your friendship either.
Exactly.
Thank you for listening to the Inevitable Podcast. Please take a moment to visit our website at theinevitableyou.com, where our membership offers a library of tools and resources that will help you overcome harmful behaviors by simply changing your psychology.
So, the big, hairy, audacious problem that you must begin to deal with is the fact that I have a problem about why my life is what it is. But just know a lot of you will try to back into this and say, well, I can't release this. I'm an alcoholic. I can't release this because my life will be too stripped and too painful. So, first thing that happens, when you say, I am an addict, this is called, in neural programming terms, this is called an identity statement. Identity statements are the most powerful form of programming, the most powerful form of how we create our reality. And when you say, for instance, when you wake up and say, I am Caucasian or I am Asian, you can't be Polynesian or African American. You are making an I am statement that I am this. And think about this man, let's call him Steve, that, again, about 5 years ago, came to my seminar, said, I am an alcoholic, and I've been sober for 19 years. I said to him, I want you to think about this. Go anywhere in your life, and think about the fact that you stopped doing a strategy 19 years ago. You were using alcohol 19 years ago, and we're going to talk again in a moment about why you used alcohol, but you realized this strategy didn't serve you, whether you got a DUI or you lost a friend or your life was just a mess or you'd just been partying too much, whatever happened that got you to stop using alcohol 19 years ago. When you stopped using that, guess what? You stopped using it. You're not ever anywhere on this planet neurally identified with a strategy you stopped using 19 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 25 years ago. But think of the people, and in fact, this is one of the biggest problems with creating for them. You are broken. You are broken. When you say, I am an alcoholic, it implies you have a disease, and the psychiatric manual will tell you that alcoholism is a disease. I'm going to tell you, latest research contradicts much of that as a disease. When you think about a disease, cancer, blood diseases, things with your liver, cirrhosis is a disease. Alcoholism is a neural strategy for dealing with and creating your life. What it means is, I have a life that I don't like. When you think about how it becomes created, there's only two ways we choose in general. There are a few exceptions. Two ways in general that we choose to create something. We do a strategy in our life to either get us more of what we want. I want more of that. And this is called a toward pattern or a toward psychology. Or we create it to get less of what we don't want. I don't want this anymore. I'm tired of this. I don't like this pain. I don't like this frustration. I don't like this place that I'm in. So I'm going to do something that's going to get me less of this place that I'm in, this thing that I'm stuck in. Now, for some people, when you look at, I'm stuck in a relationship, I'm stuck in a job, I'm stuck in a place that I don't like, and they don't want it. When you look at a movie like The Secret, or you do some New Age stuff, or you look at a quantum movie like What the Bleep, or you begin working with a counselor, they will help you focus on, well, what do you want? This is moving you into the toward if you know what you do want. This is the man I want, the woman I want. This is the kind of job I want. I want to go over there. Those are the people that generally have an easier time tending to move towards what they want and getting more from their life that they want. But if you're focused on what you don't want, and that is the sole driver or one of the principal drivers, principal motivations for yourself, I don't want this life. When you realize that what you're doing, and it might be job hopping, it might be bed hopping, it might be relationship hopping, it might be just staying in a relationship you don't like. It might be staying in a job that you don't like. When you realize that's not working for you and you're in pain, you will turn to a pain-relieving strategy. Now, let's think about the ways we could relieve pain if we're in a bad relationship or we're in a bad job. We could go to the doctor. We could say, I'm depressed. And the doctor will go, well, I've got a 15-point checklist. How's your sleep? Do you think about these kind of thoughts? What's your food pattern's been lately. And doctors are highly trained. There's, I don't know the latest statistics. It's in the tens of millions. I don't know if it's 50 million or 70 million that are on antidepressants. So you medicate your pain by saying, I'm clinically depressed. I am, the identity command, clinically depressed. And now you're on a legal medication that's relieving your pain. Now, some people will actually turn to alcohol and say, okay, because alcohol is a legal drug in our society, and there are times when we can use it legally, and there's times when we cannot use it legally. If we're underage, we can't use it. If we're driving, we cannot use it. But if we're sitting at home and we've gone to the liquor store and we have a liquor, there are some people that just soften their pain. It might be a glass or two of wine a night. It might be a bottle of wine at night. And then there's some people that take those strategies too far. They drink 2 bottles of wine. They drink too much alcohol. They begin to drink in different settings. When they lose control of that strategy, and the strategy was originally developed to get them less pain, now they're getting more pain, and the more pain might come in the form of DUIs. The more pain might come in the form of their spouse left them. The more pain might come in the form of, I just lost my job, and I've lost my last 3 jobs, and I'm about to become homeless. So in that instances where the more pain being created by their neural strategy of legally medicating themselves with alcohol begins to shift their life, many people realize, I got a problem, I got to stop doing this. But the only direction they have currently today in this society is, you're broken. You're predisposed. You have a genetic predisposition. You have a disease. Here's my checklist. I'm a professional. You came to the doctor. You go to AA, which is, and I want you to understand something if you're listening to this show. I love AA's intention. I love what AA tries to do. I love what 12 steps they try to help people out of their pain. But I'm going to tell you something. Just like 100 years ago, people that wanted to get out of pain, doctors at that time put leeches on their fingers and sucked out the evil vapors. A number of them actually improved and were very grateful that the doctor used leech strategy, and a number of them didn't get better and weren't very happy. Just like today, there are a number of people that use AA or use professional treatment programs for alcoholism, and they don't get better.
So, Bill, what does it take for a person to wake up in the morning and decide, okay, I don't want to be an alcoholic? I mean, obviously, that's what they don't want. So no one wants to be an alcoholic. What do they say to themselves to get better?
Well, okay, let's look to the motivation. The 2 drivers for any human on this planet in any set of circumstances. One driver is going to be, I want that over there. I want to move towards that. So if they see themselves as over there, pain-free, they see themselves over there in a great relationship. They've watched a movie, The Secret. They've gone to a therapist or a counselor and got help, and they actually realize, okay, I want to move to that place over there. And sadly, the percentage in general of this is going to be like in the 10% range that understand this. And they begin to shift in the morning when they wake up, and they focus on the object of their desire, the relationship they want, the job that they want. And they're going to have a lot of success in moving towards that. And in studies and research, they're generally not the people that will 10 years later or 19 years later say, I'm an alcoholic. They might say, I had an alcoholic problem. Oh, I had a problem with alcohol 19 years ago, but I stopped it because the neural identities that they reformed, they didn't identify with and become their problem. They identified and became their solution. Now, 90% when they're waking up in the morning, they're still focused on A, I'm an alcoholic, because that's what they've been taught, and B, that is driving them to a self-medication strategy. Let's say they have a DUI and they choose to change, or they lose their spouse and they choose to change. What they will do is they will stop the alcohol from a more pain situation. But because they haven't solved the original I'm in pain problem, those people, those are the ones that gain weight. Those are the ones that turn to food as an addiction. They might turn to smoking. They begin smoking up a storm. They will turn to some other form of addiction. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about Most people believe that addiction is a problem. I'm going to foreshadow this for you. I'm going to tell you something about addictions. While we criticize and tell people you're broken if you're addicted to alcohol or drugs or cigarettes, what about people that are addicted to religion, addicted to marathon running, addicted to health and energy? They're addicts. They have an addict, but they figured out how to create the addiction as a tool to help themselves. And we're going to talk about that in the next segment.
Thank you for listening to the Inevitable Podcast. William will be talking more about the psychology of addiction on the next episode. Please visit theinevitableyou.com, where our membership offers tons of resources that will help change your psychology, turn your addictive behaviors into powerful strategies for success, and allow you to create the life you desire.